Hello and welcome. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Osama Shah. Our top story at this time. The NEET row is in the top court, and the government has filed an affidavit in Supreme Court with respect to the NEET paper leak case. Now, the centre has told the court that NEET is almost clean and has again batted for NEET and urged non-cancellation. The centre said that there is no mass malpractice that has been found, and that the candidature of the beneficiaries who will be cancelled, these beneficiaries who of the fraud, their candidature will be cancelled. The government also said that IIT Madras has been roped in for further analysis and that no localized set of candidates benefited from any fraud. And Prime Minister Modi, who is on a one-day visit to Austria, received the Guard of Honor in Vienna. This is the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister in 41 years to Austria. Prime Minister Modi said that India is looking forward to strengthening ties with Austria, focusing on sectors like renewable energy, infrastructure and startups. Ukraine war also featured in India-Austria talks, with the Prime Minister reiterating his message that this is not the era for war. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chancellor of Austria Karl Nehammer jointly addressed a group of leading Austrian and Indian CEOs from diverse sectors, including infrastructure, automobile, energy, engineering and startups on Wednesday. Both the leaders acknowledged the role played by industry leaders in strengthening bilateral relations and promoting economic cooperation between India and Austria. Prime Minister Modi also addressed the Indian diaspora at a community event where he said that India and Austria mark 75 years of establishing diplomatic ties.
भारत और ऑस्ट्रिया अपनी दोस्ती के 75 वर्ष सेलिब्रेट कर रहा है। आपका यहां आना ये दिखाता है कि ऑस्ट्रिया के लिए यहां बसे भारतीय कितने खास है। भारत और ऑस्ट्रिया दो अलग अलग छोर पर है, लेकिन हम दोनों के बीच अनेक समानताएं हैं। डेमोक्रेसी हम दोनों देशों को कनेक्ट करती है। लिबर्टी, इक्वालिटी, प्लुरलिज्म और रूल ऑफ लॉ का रिस्पेक्ट, ये हमारी shared values है।
In terms of issues which were focus of discussions between the Prime Minister and Chancellor during the meeting yesterday, private dinner yesterday, and the delegation level talks today, I would just categorize them into 3-4. First of them was on fighting terrorism. They were very clear, one, in terms of their unequivocal condemnation of terrorism in all its forms and manifestation. They also spoke about the challenge of combating this menace, particularly the way it exists in the cyberspace. Prime Minister Modi highlighted to the Chancellor the nature of cross-border terrorism, the challenge of cross-border terrorism that India faces emanating out of Pakistan.
And Mohammad Ghazali joins us on the phone line to get us more on this. Ghazali, we saw the Prime Minister speaking to the Indian diaspora and the kind of fanfare that he received. Sum up the Prime Minister's visit to Austria for us and what it means with respect to the India-Austria relationship.
See, first, regarding the diaspora meeting, the Prime Minister shared his thoughts on the contribution made by the Indian diaspora to strengthening bilateral relations between India and Austria. So that's part of the cultural diplomacy, as we say in diplomatic language. And he stated that this visit to the country at a time when the two friendly nations were celebrating 75 years of diplomatic ties made it truly special. So we know that Prime Minister Modi is the first Indian Prime Minister in the last 41 years to visit Austria, and he himself has stressed it in his both address while meeting the Chancellor of Austria and also while addressing the Indian diaspora. Now, this meeting is very significant from the point of view that Prime Minister visited Russia first. We know both the nations are very close, and Russia is obviously facing a lot of diplomatic isolation via sanctions and all. But Prime Minister, while being in Russia, also spoke about that this is not the time of war and a solution cannot be found on battleground. And he stressed and reiterated the same in his Austria visit, where he also spoke about that how bilateral relations between India and Austria can prosper by the technology transfer or collaborating in the field of energy sector as well as in cyberspace. So both the nations and most importantly, Austria is one of the member of EU group, but is still not a NATO member. While the NATO summit is happening in Washington, Prime Minister was also sort of showing a diplomatic signaling to the West, which is holding the NATO meeting to isolate Russia further.
All right, Mohammad Ghazali, thank you very much for getting us all the details there. And in the Mumbai hit-and-run case, Mihir Shah, the main accused, he has been given a 7-day police custody, sent to a 7-day police custody, and producing him in the court, the cops said that the accused, he had changed his appearance in the car and tried to tamper with evidence. In another top development in the case, the Juhu pub, which served liquor to the underage accused, had been partly razed. Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, he has in fact removed Mihir's father from the party post and assured that the guilty won't be spared. But there is also fresh information in this particular case. Sources have told NDTV that the police has recorded the statement of around 15 people. The driver and the accused, they are to be confronted together. Sources also say that the driver and Mihir, they gave contradictory statements, and the police also said that CCTV footage shows that Mihir had alcohol at the pub.
मैंने रुको गया उसके वो बोनेट पे हाथ मारा फिर भी नहीं रुको मेरा बच्चा रो रहा है माँ मुझसे कहाँ से लगे तू I can't give it up.
Mihir Shah produced in court today after his arrest last evening. Prime accused in the Worli hit-and-run case, he has been handed over to the police for 7 days for questioning. The police asked for the longest custody possible, but have for now got 7 days to ask him about the details of the crime, the attempted cover-up, and about who helped him. The police told the court the accused had tried to destroy the evidence by removing the number plate of the car. He had changed his appearance by shaving off his beard and moustache, and that his friends and family helped him hide for 3 days. Meanwhile, Eknath Shinde Sena has sacked Mihir's father from his post as an office bearer. Rajesh Shah was arrested for helping destroy evidence and helping his son escape. He was later granted bail. Speaking up 4 days after the incident, Shinde said the law would be equal for all.
इसमें कोई भी हो कानून के सामने सब बराबर है कोई बड़ा छोटा नहीं होता और हिट एंड रन में जो दोषी है जो गुनाहगार है उनको बिल्कुल बख्शा नहीं जाएगा उनके ऊपर कड़ी कार्रवाई हो जाएगी
UBT Sena leader Aditya Thackeray has however questioned the delay in arrest of Mihir and is demanding that the accused be charged with murder.
I believe I have said this yesterday also in the assembly, this is not just a hit and run, this is not just an accident, this is a murder. Taking any victim, dragging her in the car for almost 2 kilometers and then reversing the car and dashing her again is an absolute outright murder, and I believe the strongest punishment in this country should be meted out to him.
The BMC swung into action today by demolishing the illegal extensions of the Juhu pub where Mihir had been allegedly drinking before the accident. The excise department had sealed this pub yesterday for serving the underaged. The distraught family members of the deceased have been fighting for justice. They fear the rich and influential may escape accountability. But the hope is that the police will gather sufficient evidence to make a strong case against Mihir Shah and his accomplices. With video journalist Mahesh and correspondent Anuj, this is Radhika Ramaswamy for NDTV.
Kannada actor Darshan has filed a writ petition in Karnataka High Court requesting to allow privately sourced food to obtain permission for clothing, cutlery, bedding from home and to receive books. Now, he was arrested in a murder case of Renuka Swami. Film actor Darshan has filed a writ petition in Karnataka High Court praying that he should be allowed to take privately sourced home food since he is not able to digest the food given by the jail authorities and has lost several kilos of weight. Darshan has also sought permission to obtain clothing, cutlery and bedding from the family and books so that his well-being is maintained. The High Court has not listed the writ petition yet. Hearing date will be given later. Darshan, remember, is currently in Bengaluru jail under judicial custody. Troubles mount for Karnataka Chief Minister Siddaramaiah and his family after a new complaint was filed with the Election Commission against Siddaramaiah. This complaint is over the fact that the Karnataka Chief Minister, he failed to mention about his wife's land details in his affidavit. This complaint has been filed by an RTI activist against the Chief Minister.
Definitely more trouble there for Siddaramaiah with respect to complaints. It's been raining complaints because we already had a social activist who filed a police complaint there, and this time we have an RTI activist who's knocked the doors of the Election Commission there. His name is TJ Abraham, who's claimed that in the place column where you have the page 6 of the affidavit, where you describe the agricultural land owned by a person, and here Siddaramaiah failed to mention about the land details that is owned by his wife, BM Parvati there. Because of this not being mentioned, he has left that portion blank intentionally without declaring that he or she was already the owner of that agricultural land, which is measuring 3.16 acres. And TJ Abraham has also gone on to say that this attracts necessary action under Section 125A and Section 8 of the Representation of the People's Act 1950. Along with other sections, he's also talked about how there needs to be a case booked against him with respect to the BNS 2023 for filing the first affidavit. Now, we are talking about controversial lands there, and we're also talking about this land already being involved in the Muda scam. So, an inquiry has already been set up by the Karnataka government as promised with respect to a 2-member committee there, the IAS officers who have been investigating this. But will this fall under that inquiry is also something that needs to be questioned as well as closely watched. Back.
And police have repulsed a major terrorist attack on a police post at Basantgarh in Udhampur district in Jammu region. This area bordering Kathua district, where an army convoy was ambushed 3 days ago, in which 5 soldiers were killed and 5 others were injured. Now, officials said that as a group of foreign terrorists tried to attack the police post at Basantgarh, alert cops repulsed the attack and forced the terrorists to flee. Now, sources say 3 heavily armed terrorists were involved in this particular attack. On April 28th, a village defense guard, Muhammad Sharif, was killed during an encounter with terrorists at Basantgarh.
Well, fortunately, there is no injury, there is no loss of life, and alert cops have repulsed the fire, forced militants to flee. In Basantgarh area, while on April 28, we saw 1 village defense guard, Muhammad Sharif, was killed during an encounter with militants in the same area, and this is very close, just 7-8 kilometers from the Badnota area, where army convoy was ambushed 3 days back, and 5 soldiers were killed and 5 others were injured. And this is the 3rd incident of militancy or firing or encounter in Jammu region in last 3 days. First, attack on ambush on army in which 5 soldiers were killed. Yesterday there was an encounter firing in Doda area, and today in Basantgarh area of Udhampur. And in this incident we saw very alert troops. They apparently anticipate something wrong is happening, so they circumvented this attack and repulsed the fire and forced militants flee. But it also shows at 3 incidents in 3 days clearly shows how challenging situation it has become in Jammu region, which was free from militancy till few years ago, now a hotbed of militancy almost every day and every week. there are incidents, there are encounters, there are attacks. But fortunately, in this incident, alert cops fired at them, repulsed the attack, and forced militants flee. But the threat clearly remains there. They are in the same forest.
The Supreme Court issued notice to the Delhi police after an NGO alleged that they were being harassed by them. Remember, 1,100 trees were chopped in Delhi Ridge area. The top court has issued a contempt notice to the DDA as well. Here's a report. The Supreme Court has issued notices to the Delhi police and Axis Bank following harassment allegations made by NGO petitioner New Delhi Nature Society, which filed a case against the Delhi Development Authority for illegal tree cutting in the Delhi Ridge area. They say that the police contacted their bank, Axis Bank, and sought detailed information about their accounts. The petitioner has alleged the police has been asking about their trust.
So one of the petitioner environmentalists, he's received certain notices. They reached the bank without the permission of the petitioner, of course, and they took out all the bank details, etc. This is absolutely unnecessary. I mean, there is no reason for them to be doing this. There are a lot of good work that they could have done. I mean, after all, these trees have been cut illegally.
Describing it as a serious matter, the top court has now issued notices. The matter will be heard on Friday.
The message today is quite clear, by the Supreme Court that don't shoot the messenger. Definitely a positive step, and like I said, it's a clear message, don't shoot the messenger. I mean, I'm sure the Delhi police will have to, give apt replies to this now, and they must, be accountable for all that they've done.
Politics has now intensified over this, with the Delhi government minister Saurabh Bhardwaj now attacking the Lieutenant Governor and saying that the whistleblowers are getting harassed by the Delhi police that comes under the LG. But the fact remains that the trees have illegally been cut and the accountability is yet to be fixed.
Green on paper, dry and dead on the ground. This is DDA's green belt on the Delhi Ridge. These trees were transplanted to replace trees that were cut, but they have all died because they weren't transplanted properly.
छतरपुर सतबड़ी के इलाके में जो पेड़ ट्रांसप्लांट किए गए हैं, ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये सही तरीके से नहीं किए गए हैं। पर इस केस में मैं देख रहा हूँ कि करीब 150 में से मेजॉरिटी पेड़ हैं जो वे सूख रहे हैं, सूख गए, उन पर नए पत्ते नहीं आ रहे हैं। इसका मतलब ये काम ढंग से नहीं किया गया है।
As Delhi gasped for breath, trees are being cut and efforts to transplant them are half-hearted. With Ishika Verma and Ashwini Kumar Singh, Bureau Report, NDTV. Time now for a very short break. More news on the other side. Welcome back. A motorcycle showroom owner named Ravindra Saini, he was shot dead in Hansi on Wednesday evening. Ravindra Saini was associated with the Jananayak Janata Party. 3 bike-riding youths, they allegedly shot Mr. Saini. It is said that the gunman was present at the showroom when the attack took place. My colleague Gurpreet Singh Chinna has more details.
The murder of a JJP leader in Haryana has put a question mark over law and order situation in the state. The opposition leaders say it seems the government has failed from all the front to control law and order on the ground. At the same time, the police have already started investigation into this murder case. The police say they have already procured the CCTV camera footage and from which they will be able to identify the attackers in this case. At the same time, the police say they are trying to probe the extortion angle into this investigation besides other angles which they are trying to probe into this case. With Vijay, Rajesh Kumar, this is Gurpreet Singh Chinna for NDTV, Panchkula, Haryana.
And Mundy MP Kangana Ranaut met the family of the resident who went missing in Kuwait. Remember, Mundy resident Dhanadev, he allegedly went missing in Kuwait. The Mundy MP said that she has sought more details from the family, and she also said that this is a serious matter and that she has already spoken to the centre as well. Kangana Ranaut, she said that there is no confirmation that he was in Kuwait only.
हम काफ़ी गंभीर हैं इस मामले को लेकर और हमने जो है वो ऊपर भी सेंटर में भी बात की है। वहाँ से हमें ये रिक्वायरमेंट आई है कि वो जो गायब हुए हैं कुवैत में उनका वहाँ पे मोबाइल नंबर हमें चाहिए और वहाँ किस कंपनी में वो काम करते थे उसकी डिटेल्स भी चाहिए। और उसके साथ में ही आज मैंने उनके परिवार वालों से बात की कि वहाँ से कौन से मंत्रालय में जो है कुवैत के भी कहाँ किस कंपनी में जो है या किस एजेंसी में इस बात की कंप्लेन की गई है कि वो मिसिंग है। तो ये डिटेल्स जो हैं वो मुझे लाके दे रहे हैं। एक बार हमें उनका मोबाइल नंबर मिल जाएगा तो उसकी से क्लियर हो जाएगा कि वो वाकई में कुवैत में ही थे।
And finally, the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, was seen playing a badminton game with Padma Bhushan winner and badminton star Saina Nehwal in a video released by the President's office. The game was played ahead of Nehwal's interaction at the Rashtrapati Bhavan Cultural Centre as part of the Her Story, My Story lecture series featuring women Padma awardees. The video ends with the audience erupting into cheers after Ms. Murmu scored a point.
സോളാർ അല്ല ഏകദേശം അതേ ബില്ല് തന്നെയാണ് മുമ്പുള്ളതിന്റെ പിന്നെ 13,000 എന്നൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ.
But that's all we have for you. Keep watching NDTV.